Uh, yeah, I got a mail out of the blue from this fellow here, Jonathan, and we spoke shortly after I received the mail. And the first thing I said to him, I think, was, "I'm not an artist and I'm not a designer." He says, "Yeah, I know." So I just say, I'm neither. My background is mostly civil society. I'm obviously not from Turkey, I'm from the States, but I've lived in Turkey for, well, I don't know, a very long time, 25, 26 years now. And I've mostly made my living in civil society. I set up the first program for civic participation at the university level that was curricular, and started that same program in about 20, I started at a private university and then started in about 20 different state universities. Also did a lot of work in Central Asia and the Caucasus for that. And inadvertently got involved in the women's movement. Coming from the States, I never felt a need to be part of the women's movement. I don't know if I took my privileges for granted, but I didn't really see that there was a need for me to do anything else. And when I first went to Turkey, I was actually teaching at a university, and one of my colleagues says, "God, we learned so much from you." And I'm thinking, come on, you don't learn that much from me. And she says, "I've learned from you that it's okay to walk home by myself at night." And I thought, good God, I'm really, really coming from such a different perspective. I have no idea of what other people are living and what other people are learning from an example. And from there, I did become active in the women's movement, and I was very active in the women's movement for, I don't know, I think 5 years in Turkey. I was part of the Beijing +5 post meeting in New York. And I got really burned out at my job at the university because of nobody's fault but my own. Just, I don't know, I think for those of you who have gotten funding or have not had so many challenges, I think you realize that not everybody is in that situation and that you're very fortunate. And I was being paid, and I had a good situation to teach other people to make a difference, and it was a very fortunate position. So I took it and I went with it. But I burned myself out, and I wanted to somehow, I don't know if any of you, does anybody here know Ashoka, the Ashoka program for social entrepreneurs? Thank you. Okay, there's some. I don't think you have one in Sweden. So it was actually started by an American in India and Bangladesh about 25 years ago. And the idea is that if you are a social entrepreneur, you have a great idea. It's not that you don't teach a man, you don't give a man a fish. You teach the man you teach him how to fish. It's that you change the fishing industry. So it's really it has potential for large-scale impact and very innovative social/environmental change. So I started the Ashoka program in Turkey and became involved in social entrepreneurship. So when I realized that I was burned out at my job at the university, I wanted to somehow stay in civil society, but with a change. So I thought I can leave Turkey, start somewhere new, but I thought, God, start all over again, a new culture, a new language, new ideas, learning about a new history, new government, never mind, stay in Turkey. And I had property on the Aegean coast, so I said, duh, why don't you just go down there and set up something there? Okay, that's half the battle, but what are you going to set up, lady? I wanted to do something to empower women because my experience in the women's movement, my perspective, showed me that most organizations that are targeting women's issues in Turkey are actually focusing on issues of domestic violence. And while that is a problem and it does need to be addressed, I thought that we should step back a couple of steps so that you could actually set up a platform so that women would not be so subjected to violence. I also had always wanted to target issues of poverty and how do you go about that. I really had no idea. I've also had a bee in my bonnet since I was in high school about individual responsibility to the environment. And any of you who have been to Turkey or spent any time in Turkey know that that's really not a priority, but I think that it could be. I also realized that I was really, really tired because I'm always going against everything, always fighting, always going upstream. So I said, all right, lady, chill. Go with the flow, and pretty much any woman, sorry guys, any woman anywhere on the planet, no matter how rich or how poor she is, has accessories. There's a desire for some type of adornment, something from the outside. So I said women will always spend money on accessories. So mostly what we do is make bags. I will show you. I brought a couple things to pass around. But before we get started, we do have, this is our workshop, and I actually just put this photo on this morning. This is one of my dogs. She is now part of my household, my family, but she was a street dog. She's really not well right now, and I almost didn't come to this because she's really not well, but I really didn't want to miss this opportunity. So if you can just send her some positive energy, she'll be feeling better. Thank you. Sorry for that. We are smoke-free, but we are pet-friendly, so you can't really see, but this is one of our cats here. I think we have 7 cats in the workshop. Did any of you know the Batman series, the TV series? Not the films. Any of you ever see the Batman TV series? Thank you. 1 person, maybe 2 people, 3 people. Great, yeah. When I was a kid, I could only watch half an hour of TV. I grew up, a lot of my childhood was in LA. And being a child of the 60s has a lot of advantages. And so my parents put very, very strict restrictions on TV. I could watch half an hour a week, and it was hands down Batman. That was it. I was going to be Catwoman when I grew up, but you know, the type of where the Catwoman who wears a sleek black outfit and her tail says, "Come here." Oh, never mind, I'm going to climb this wall right now. I don't need you. Something got lost in translation, and I became a different type of Catwoman. So, anyhow, our name does mean the garbage ladies. Çöp Madam, it's a play on words that works so well in Turkish that I went with it, even though I don't think it translates well into any other language. Çöp means garbage. Adam is man. You put the M there, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's Madam. It also means stick figure, which you will see. I don't think I have our logo in here. Anyhow, our logo is a play on the words here. So, who are the garbage ladies of Ayvalık? We are first and foremost a venue for women who have never had opportunities or never thought that they had opportunities. Your average woman the average woman who comes to us has a 5th grade education, and she's never aspired to be anything other than a mother and a wife. I say, you want to be a mother and a wife, more power to you. However, if you want to do something else, there should be an option for you. Now, because Turkey is still very traditional gender role-based society, and actually becoming more and more so as time goes on, instead of the other way around. For many women, this is how they see their identity. So their quote-unquote success as an individual is that they are married, that they have children, that they keep their house clean, that they make fantastic dolma, börek, whatever, they're good cooks. Nobody questions this. A lot of people are very quick to blame men because women are not able to do more, and while many of us can blame some of the men who are running the country right now, there are a lot of women actually who limit themselves, either because they are afraid or because they don't need anymore. This is how they see themselves. But I say, if as a woman you want to do something else, there needs to be an opportunity. But it's not enough just that there's a job available in a factory. That doesn't fit your norm, it doesn't fit your family's norm, it doesn't fit your local community's norm. So what we try to do is take a lot of the handcraft skills that women already have, but modify them for a more contemporary market. When I put this together, I tried to answer some of the questions that were sent to me. So yeah, local culture. Be all over the place here. This is any of you at university level, or I don't know just what the other connections are involved with the Erasmus programs. I love Erasmus. I love the Erasmus program. EU money, very, very, very well spent. We've had a number of Erasmus interns. This was designed by our first intern, actually a wonderful young woman from Hungary, Yuli, who spent a month with us a couple of years ago and then came back to help me set up what is now our artist in residence program, but I will get to that later on. So this is just basically how we operate. She put it together in a way that I could not. So there's production and planning, there's a certain amount of design, which you will see a little bit, the production, stock keeping, our venues of distribution, accounting, which is my headache, sales, another headache, brand communication. This is some of what we do. A lot of you know these. It's not terribly original, but there's nobody else in our larger hood making these things. I actually went to Mexico and spent a week in a Mexican prison learning how to make these. And when I say this to people, sometimes they say, "Can I ask what you did to get yourself into the prison?" I said, "Well, I just walked in and then I walked out." Anyhow, you can see these. This is actually recycled. These are actually recycled Magnum ice cream. This is a combination of Magnum ice cream and margarine. Packaging, not the margarine itself, yeah. Unilever used to be one of our main sponsors, so we would get like 400 kilo bobbins full of packaging that were either, there was something off with the packaging. Mostly it was the inside of the bobbin had been damaged, so it wouldn't actually go on a machine so they could roll it off. Every once in a while there'd be something that was discontinued, or I'm assuming never went on the market. So we still have literally tons of great clean bobbins from them. Okay, this is, we use, I don't know if here in Sweden you have vinyl banner advertising anymore, like for an event. You know what, sometimes, what happens to the vinyl when the event is done? Well, this is what we do with the vinyl when the event is done, or an event is done. So this is actually from Cappy. You have Cappy here, it's a Coca-Cola fruit nectar, let's call it that. So we do, you can't really see it, portfolio bags. We just did 450 portfolio bags for a business conference, or business faculty management conference. Some wallets, money not included. This is actually my wallet. It's really kind of cool. And just so you can see, I'm going to pass these around. This is from, what's that from? Okay, Lipton. So, but this is the wallet itself. Put your cash. I don't know, does anybody use cash here? I've yet to see any money. If you do, everybody uses cards, so put your cards there. And a little zip for whatever coins. And because, oh shit, should be in there, sorry. Must be in another one. Anyhow, pass that around so you can just see. But we do the same out of the vinyl. We do a lot with flour sacks. We still have the baklava, the phyllo, the thin pastry for the baklava, and then there's, if you've been to Turkey, maybe you know there's something called börek, which is again a very, very fine pastry, and the flour for that is ground much finer than it is for bread flour, so that's still actually packaged in fabric sacks. So we do the hamsa, the hand of Fatma. These are all hand embroidered. We do wedding favors. We do either wine bottles or olive oil bottles, depending on your preference. We have aprons, no pictures of aprons here. These are some of my ladies. This is my right-hand gal, Sidika. She's been with me from day one. So I set up, I got the concept, I've got the name, I have workshop space, I had some funding / sponsorship to see me through at least 6 months. I have some materials. I have everything, and I want to set everything. I want to get things started on Monday. By Friday, I'm missing the most important part of the program, the ladies. I don't have any ladies, and I'm thinking, Tara, you got to come up with something really quick, because this is kind of key to what you're doing. You don't have anybody to work. What are you going to do? And at the time where I lived, Sidika was one of my neighbors. We had very little conversation other than, it's hot today. Yeah, it's hot today. Oh, your parents coming this year? No, they're not coming this year. Oh, that's too bad. Are you going swimming today? I guess you went swimming today. Our conversations were very superficial, but they were friendly. And I had bought, where I live, it's actually, it used to be an autonomous, under the Ottoman Empire, it was an autonomous Greek town. And I lived in an old stone Greek-built house, and I had it renovated. So even though my interactions with my neighbors were very limited, they saw that I had made some investment, and they saw that I wasn't necessarily a bad person. So on Friday, Sidika is... and it sounds funny, but it is important to what we do. Sidika was standing outside with another neighbor, and I was coming up the hill, and they say to me, Tara, we wanted to speak to you about something. We want your help. I'm thinking, what can I help you with? And they said, we want to knit some sweaters, and at the time I was living in Istanbul, we want to knit some sweaters, and we want to know if you can help us sell these sweaters in Istanbul. I said, no, I can't. However, if you would like to come to such and such an address on Monday, I have an idea that you might be interested in. So they went out and told 8 of their friends. So day 1, I had 10 people coming to help us. And from the get-go, I had trained 2 of my assistants at the university to make the wrapper bags, the ones that I had first showed you, the woven ones. Because I knew I did not want to be involved in teaching the technique because there would be way too many other things that I would have to be involved in, so I never wanted the women to associate me with that. We're working on a rush order for, I don't know, I think that must be Coca-Cola, because right now Coca-Cola is keeping us alive. My principals do not pay my ladies. This is somebody who used to ban Coca-Cola from my premises. You could not come into my office with Coca-Cola, but now, like I said, they are keeping us alive. Now that my lady's using a drill press, there's nothing like empowering a woman who has not felt that she is empowered by giving her an electric tool. There's nothing like Tara, okay. There's really a thing with plastic bags in Turkey and a lot of other places, but if you walk into a shop and you get a loaf of bread or just a carton of milk, they'll give you a plastic bag. I said, I don't need the plastic bag. They said, no, it's okay. I said, no, this is not an okay issue. I don't need the bag. Why are you insisting that I take the bag? Part of the reason they're insisting that they take the bag is because the person behind me may or may not buy anything, and they will ask for 2 bags. So it's just plastic bags. When I moved to Turkey in 1989, there were very few plastic bags. A lot of things were still wrapped in newspaper, if they were wrapped in anything at all, or people had their string bags. And in a very short amount of time, it's become such a huge part of the culture. It's a huge environmental issue. So, as I said earlier, I'm trying to get into the mindset of not fighting against everything, so go with the flow a little bit. So I said, okay, chill. So we make yarn out of the plastic bags, and then they're crocheted to this. And this is obviously a bit more than that, but this is just what I think is a fun design, and it's actually like a duffel bag we made it into. This is Suleiman, one of our dogs. Okay, at the end of the day, we have to follow the money. So in Turkey, we do not have the concept of not-for-profit, so we are actually a small business, a tax-paying small business. And every once in a while, someone will say to me, don't you get any help from the government? We're working with 2 issues that the current administration really is not interested in, empowering women and environmental awareness, and no, we don't get any help. So there is an outsourced, so many companies outsource, and Coca-Cola had outsourced. One of their PR people was outsourced, and there was a big fair or something in Dubai, I think. And she asked us to come up with something in a short amount of time. We don't have any Coca-Cola items. We don't have any Coca-Cola packaging. But we had a lot from Unilever. We had a lot of red and white. Red from, surprise, surprise, ketchup. White from, I think baking powder. Anyhow, so we did a lot of red and white bags, and then I did the really boring, not terribly creative, but as effective task of just smashing bottle caps and then tacking them onto the zip, so that made it a Coca-Cola product. From that, it went to Coca-Cola Atlanta, which is Coca-Cola headquarters. And now this is actually the packaging from around the PET bottles, the plastic bottles. So we make bags out of this. But what we really make are these bags. Yes, aren't they fun? And I have non-Coca-Cola ones. This is a political one because right now we have a lot of issues with alcohol in Turkey, so this is only beer. We have all different sizes, and this is non-political. This is mineral water, fizzy water. And they're lined. If you open it up, you see that they're lined, and we got, for any of you sewers, you can be jealous now, we got 1/2 ton of fabric donated from a suiting company. 1/2 ton is a lot of fabric. And we have, supposed to be in all of our items, but it's not in that little wallet. Shit, it's not there either. Yeah. It's supposed to be bag insert. Is there, you open it, is there a little piece of paper in that? Great, not anymore, thank you. So, I'm sorry to say that the impact that we've had on our ladies, the ladies who work with us for environmental awareness, is pretty nil. The customer comes in and say, can we have a bag? My ladies will say, no, we don't use a plastic bag, but they'll go out to buy their loaf of bread and they won't get a plastic bag, I know. But we've had huge impact socially, which is the main point of what we do. And it's very difficult to measure how much somebody's self-esteem has grown. I started this program almost 8 years ago, so I think it was must be the 2nd or 3rd year of the program. And I overheard the ladies talking, and I'm in the workshop a lot, but I'm also out of the workshop a lot because we communicate really differently. And it's not just a matter of Turkish. As I was saying to somebody at lunch today, it's a matter of what you're talking about and how you're communicating, because for them, it's not necessarily the content of the communication, it's the context. So what matters is that I have made a connection with you. It doesn't necessarily matter what I'm saying. So often I just soon stay out of their conversations. But I overheard them one day, and they're talking about, these are two ladies who are, one was just over 50, and I think the other was 55, and they're talking about having just purchased bikinis. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to listen to a little bit more about this, so I'm listening a little bit closer to the conversation. And we have a street market, a weekly street market, which is where many people do their main shopping. We have a lot of textiles. We also have a lot of produce. And I know it's where my ladies do all their shopping, or most of their shopping. But I knew that they had bought their bikinis in a store. So number one, for them to spend the amount of money on a bathing suit in a store is huge. Number two, on a bikini is huge. So I said to them, I said, just ask you a question. Are you actually wearing these? They said, what do you mean? We go swimming every Saturday. Good God. So this is something that they never even would have thought to think about, and now they're doing this on a weekly basis, not thinking about it twice. So I say this is an example of how they have grown in a way that I personally cannot measure other than in a way I'm telling you right now. But this insert that I took out, we have it in Turkish and we have it in English, and I'd like to read it to you because this is supposed to be in all of our items so that you as the customer know what you're doing when you're supporting us. So Çöp Madam is a play on words in Turkish, translating warmly to stick female figures / garbage women. Çöp Madam is a social development project that is designed to provide opportunities for women who have never earned a regular salary. It's a big difference in Turkish because, and it's, I mean in English as well, I'm assuming other language, they will say not women who have never worked before. I said no, women who have never worked for salary before. And it's just conceptually, it's a difficult idea. The raw materials, except for the thread and the zipper, are from throwaway waste. We're not necessarily recycling. We're not always upcycling, but the fabric that we use, the materials that we use, if we don't use them, most of them would end up in a landfill. Most of our raw materials are pre-consumer waste. Those which are not have been sterilized. We believe that everyone has the right to an opportunity to live in dignity. We also believe that all of us have a responsibility to the well-being of the planet. You are now the proud owner of an item that has been produced on the principles of respect for people and respect for the planet. As they say in Turkish, the Turkish is güle güle kullan, which means use it smilingly. And then we say at the bottom, they have to sign their name. So this item was made by whoever made it. And we have that in English and in Turkish. Eventually that will go back into the wallet, maybe. Okay, so yeah, I think underlying everything that I have done for a long time are the concepts of, it used to be dignity, but now because the larger hood that I live in is really such a mess. Somebody said something early about having challenges, and yeah, I know. Tell me about challenges. Where I live in the town of Ayvalık, I have a photo later, you will see later on. Anyhow, you can see the Isle of Mytilene, the Isle of Lesbos, which is where most of the refugees actually take these, sorry, goddamn awful rubber dinghies to get to. And we would have, we were not the main leaving point for them, but things got so bad that you would see people on the street waiting to meet their smuggler to get into one of these boats, or you'd go to the beach and you'd see them waiting there, and you don't know, do you actually say to them, do you know how to swim? Or do you say to them, do you know that you might not be alive tomorrow? Because they are in a situation where they have no hope. And this is all that they can do to try to hold on to hope. So because of the larger geopolitical situation that we are in, hope has really become inherent to what we do. So I became I'm a founding member of a very sweet organization called Yuva, which means nest in Turkish. And it was just started by a couple friends of mine and I think 8 years ago. And one of my friends, I know him from many years ago from Greenpeace, and he's really an activist, and he was out of work, and His wife was working with a civil society organization where she's traveling all the time. So we said, let's put together a civil society organization so we can get some funding so you can actually do some projects. Because he's really an activist. And like so many of the civil society organizations in Turkey, like it or not, you end up working with refugees because we have, I think officially it's almost 3 million refugees living in Turkey, but 30% are not registered. So, I mean, we're approaching 3.5 million people, not from Syria alone, but mostly from Syria who are living in Turkey. So there's tons that needs to be done. There's tons that's going on, but there's that much more that needs to be going on. So we just started working with, through UVA, the organization that I helped start, working with 2 community centers now, because this is what a lot of people working with refugees in Turkey are doing, working in community centers. What are you going to do with the women? What can they do? They're even of a more traditionally gender-based society than we are, at least those who are living closer to the border. So they're making these guys out of materials that we sent. So little elephant, little puppy doggy, little rabbit. And I went down, this is from the community center near Gaziantep, which is about 100K from the Syrian border. And I was talking to the women who were doing this, and in a lot of the Muslim world, dogs are dirty. And the woman was saying, she said, I really had a hard time with this snout. It was really difficult, and I had to undo it 5 times. And by the 4th time, I was calling him exactly what he is, you dog, you. But as you can see, they're kind of cute, so yeah. Okay, so do you have a question? Do you want to say something? Oh, it's not. Oh my God, I thought, oh wow, okay. I did that, we don't need that. Okay, don't need that, don't need that, okay. All right, so, but we do need this. Yes, we do need our residency program. I'm sorry, where are the IKEA people? Thank you, 1, only 1 IKEA, 2 IKEA people have lasted this long. Okay, fantastic. I would like you to see, yes, our very fun IKEA stools and your very practical IKEA tables, which are part of our program that we're starting this summer, our Artist in Residency program. So I said, I'm not an artist, I'm not a designer, we need new ideas. The whole idea when I set up Chuk Madam is that it would be sustainable. It's going to be sustainable. It means we need to up our revenue. The boss, the owner, has not had a salary in 5 years, so number 1, I need to make some money. So we're inviting people to come and spend a month with us. I can find you accommodation. You don't have to pay that. We are asking that you pay 10 euros a day. We'll feed you lunch. Our lunches are pretty generous, so you can more or less at least fill your belly like that. We're asking 2 things. That you help us design something that we can market with our materials, and that you yourself grow your own work with using our materials. You can use all the materials you have. We only have 1 semi-industrial machine in this workshop right now, but you can use our other machines in our other workshop. And I have a little paper here that I will leave with you, but this is just our call, which I don't know if you can understand a goddamn thing from that right now, but yeah. Anyhow, so, okay, we're going to skip that. Because this is where I live. I'm sorry, it's not bad. That's not bad. We got a lot that's really wrong, but that's really not bad. So, and there's no filter there, okay? That's really what it looks like. So most of our sunsets are good. 365 days of the year, we see the sun pretty much 350 days. We eat really well. It's for any of you who are Fellini fans, you feel like you have a bit part in a Fellini film, because there's always something that's a little bit off. Come see us. Come work with us. Okay.